This is a recovery story from Washington County Mental Health Services. This is the story of one woman's journey to recovery.
I was born in 1959 in a town where my father worked at a naval recruiting station. I have 3 siblings, 2 brothers and a sister. Because my father decided to be a career man in the Navy for almost 25 years, we moved a lot, usually every year or two. So I'd lose everyone and everything every year or two. By the time my father retired in 1974, I had gone to 12 schools. Both of my parents are from poor alcoholic New England farm families. I learned from both of my parents how great it would be to be part of a small community where I knew everyone. My parents gave me this gift in 1974 when we settled in a rural Vermont town, and I enrolled in my 13th school, the high school from which I graduated. Neither of my parents had a skill set for raising children because of their histories of poverty and family alcoholism. My mom was a quiet, capable woman who kept the household running, while my father was out on patrol at sea from anywhere to 3 to 6 months. At sea for anywhere from 3 to 6 months. When he would come home for a month or two, I would give me just enough time to get to know him again before he would leave. My dad, whom I realized in 1974 was an alcoholic, would get very inappropriate with me, saying and doing scary and inappropriate things, even when I was a small child. I would try to tell my mom about these incidences, but she wouldn't believe me. I was filled with fear and anxiety because of the trauma and drama and of my mother's inability to cope with it. I became self-aware as a small child in order to protect myself from my parents. I have learned that there is a history on both sides of my family of dementia and mental health issues. Also, it has recently been pointed out to me by a local TBI agency that some of my childhood head injuries may have been traumatic brain injuries. Reflecting back, I now realize that one of the things that helped me get through childhood was working to complete tasks. I felt good to be united with my siblings on chores that were assigned by my parents. It helped to relieve the confusion and chaos of my childhood, to be of use. I graduated from high school with a B+ average and honors, as my parents expected me to. My academic success in high school did not transfer to college. By the 2nd semester, I was on academic probation, and by the 4th semester, I was not well. I was not getting the support I needed from my parents. Also, I was concerned about male friends and family members who were in the military and were likely involved in the Persian Gulf War. I was corresponding with many of them at the time, but they couldn't tell me where they were stationed. I was not sure what was wrong with me, and I dropped out of college. I moved back in with my parents. It was clear that my father didn't want me in the house and would have preferred that I move on. I couldn't find permanent employment in Vermont after I dropped out of college, so I went to California to live with my sister and brother-in-law. I found a job at a bank just down the street from where they lived. I stayed in banking for 5 years and met my husband, who was working at the same bank. While I was married, I took more than one career exploration course at local community colleges and discovered that, among other things, I was interested in early childhood education. It took me 20 years, but I finally did earn an associate degree in early childhood education. After 8 years, my marriage ended in divorce and bankruptcy. At my family's suggestion, I went to live with my brother and his family in Southern California, where my brother was in the Navy. After about a month, I wasn't sleeping or eating regularly. Nothing felt right. I called every mental health agency I could find in the area for about a week. The first question I was always asked was, "Are you going to hurt yourself or anyone else?" Because I answered no to both questions, they would determine they couldn't help me and would hang up. After a week of horrific emotional struggle, I made the decision, along with my brother and sister-in-law, to go to the county psychiatric hospital. After a 6-hour wait there, the staff decided to put me on a 72-hour hold. This was in December, which is now a loaded month for me because of this experience and the many family anniversaries and birthdays at this time of year, not to mention Christmas. My family decided I would return to Vermont to live with my parents and get some help. Returning to my parents' house seemed to be like going backwards, returning to an environment that I thought I had escaped. In the spring of 1992, I became a client of Washington County Mental Health Services. I started therapy and a day program that ran Monday through Friday. I had a case manager who helped me to look for jobs, which I wasn't able to keep when I got them. Finally, in December of 2008, I interviewed and was hired for Washington County Mental Health's Peer Line, which is a warm line. Being accepted to work on the Peer Line for 2 years helped me to reestablish limits and boundaries. I had to follow the policies outlined in the manual. I had to be responsible and attend mandatory meetings twice a month. In the summer of 2010, my case manager also suggested that I interview to be a home intervention peer support worker and a temporary driver for Sunrise Recovery Center. I interviewed and was hired for each of these jobs. My 2 supervisors thought I was responsible and had the skill set to do these jobs, and it made me feel good that they even wanted to interview me. As an adult, I'm beginning to realize how important work has been to me throughout my life and how much it benefits my mental health. Being goal-oriented and having a schedule relieve my anxiety and stress. It also uplifts me to know that I am helping people in my community. When I work with clients, my hidden story might help to relate to their hidden story, which is beneficial all around. I've learned that it's okay to be a loner, but it's really important to be connected. I might go to work in a bad mood, and then I see people smiling and happy to see me, or I might hear just what I need to hear from a coworker. Working for Washington County Mental Health has been very helpful for me. I have never had an employer that really gets me. They know the kinds of questions to ask me to know how I feel and require me to be where I need to be when I need to be there. Any trainings I have taken through Washington County Mental Health as a client and employee, RAP recovery, intentional peer support, a dialectical behavior training module, and many others have helped me in my personal life. These trainings help me to be the better person and a better employee of Washington County Mental Health. It is important for me to treat everyone with loving kindness. I believe I have the ability to treat people with honor, dignity, and respect, which everyone deserves. My relationship with my parents has moved into the acceptance and forgiveness stage. I love them and know that they didn't have the skills for healthy parenting and didn't harm me intentionally. My family members have different perspectives about what happened in our childhoods, and I can't expect them to share mine. Washington County Mental Health has helped me to form connections and relationships with people in a healthier way.